All right, so as you guys saw, we're going to be doing some puff on some caps. So if you guys are interested in the process and how I do this, stay tuned. Alright, so I've showed you guys this plenty of times. Take your capping ring, put it on the capping station, lock it into place, grab your hat, and then stick the sweatband underneath this piece right here. We're going to pull out our sweatband all the way around, and then we're going to take the band that holds it in place and secure it. Alright, so we're secured, we're good to go. Once we got it like that, we're simply going to take it off and take it to the machine. Alright, so like I always tell you guys, I'm using the MT-1501 from RICOMA. If you guys are interested in this machine, make sure you guys go down below. There's a link down there. By you clicking that link, it's going to save you up to $250 on this machine or any of the embroidery machines that RICOMA carries, alright? So make sure you guys take advantage of that. So what I did right there, I went ahead and I put my cap on here, and then I hit the trace button and it moved back to needle number 1 because it always traces from needle number 1. And then it was off a little bit, so I just used my arrows on my keypad up above to center this right where it needs to be. Right, so the most important part when it comes to doing puff material is you got to use foam, crafting foam. You can buy it at Walmart, or if you use a resale site, you could buy it through Madeira, One Stop, whatever else is out there to buy that crafting foam. So let me show you what we're going to be using. Alright, so here we are with the crafting foam. This one I believe I got from One Stop whenever I made an order. So with this right here, what you're going to do is you're going to have your image, right? And you want to cut this bigger than the image. You don't want to chance getting a piece of this out of it, right? So what I do, now that I have one already done, what I like to do is I like to use it as a stencil, I guess we could say. So I will take out my crafting foam. Alright, and then what I like to do is just lay the one that we already did right next to it, right? And then I'm just going to cut along the line. Not along the line or along the image, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so now I have the size that we're going to be using, and then I just simply go in here and cut it into a square, right? And I just do the same thing, just repeat the process, see how many I can get out of it. So out of that little strip right there, right, so we got 3 pieces out of this right here, right? I don't even remember what I paid for this right here, but you guys could look it up, right? But to let you know, whenever I add foam to a cap for the 3D puff look, right, I charge by the stitch count, right? And then I charge an additional $1 on top of that to do the puff effect, right? So whatever your stitch count is plus $1 to do the puff, right? So that's my cost. Everybody has their own costs on how they want to do things, and that's just the way I do it, right? So let's take this to the machine. I'm going to show you how to set this up. All right, one thing you have to remember is whenever you're doing puff, you have to let your digitizer know that you're doing 3D puff, right? Because if you don't, they're not going to digitize it for that. So make sure you let them know that you're doing it 3D puff, because you can't just put puff under anything, right? So keep that in mind. Let the digitizer know 3D puff, right? So whenever I first started doing puff, I didn't know what I was doing, right? I had put tape here. Tape was holding it down. There was times where I would put my fingers here and I would hold it, and as it was doing a stitch, I would slowly move my fingers out the way, and then I would use pins to hold it in place, right? But by posting stuff on social media, some of you guys reached out and told me alternative ways to do it. The best one that I've seen so far, a big shout out to Arnold Prince. Make sure you guys go check him out. He's got a YouTube channel and he posts stuff on Instagram, so check him out. He was telling me just to use a rubber band, and this has been the most effective thing that I have been using since then. So what you do with the rubber band is you're just going to take the rubber band, drop it onto your puff, and it's going to simply hold it in place. I don't have to put no pins, I don't have to put no tape, I don't got to put nothing on there. The rubber band works just fine, right? So one more time, I know my puff is big enough. I just want to make sure that whenever I do my trace, I don't have it too far to the left or too far to the right. Either way, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to hit our trace. We're good, we're good. We're good. It's a little bit close to the top, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Remember, like I had it on top of this metal band, right? So if it hits this band, you're not going to be able to stitch anyway. So I brought it down to the edge of the band, right? And then I told the digitizer that does my stuff, I like a run stitch. So what a run stitch is just going to go down and it's going to outline the image, and after it outlines the image, I could basically just take the rubber band off because the whole thing is going to be held down. After it does the run stitch, it's going to go back and lay the cross stitch or whatever it's called that does the puff, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start this run stitch, and then I'm going to stop it when it's done so I can show you what I'm talking about. The run stitch, like I said, is just going and basically putting a line down the middle of where the puff is going to go. Alright, so I stopped it right there. As you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see that there's a stitch. Let me bring you out just a little bit. I don't want to mess this up. I want to keep you guys on here while I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this because I want to show you. So I trimmed it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my image out, right? So as you can see, there's a run stitch across here, right? So there's a run stitch here and down, right? So I can basically take the rubber band off now, and as you can see, the rubber band, if I take it off, is no longer holding this down. That's the way I like to do it. Everybody has their ways of doing things. I like to do a run stitch so that there's nothing else in the way, right? So we are good. So if you guys are wondering, what did I just do right here? And is it gonna line back up? So on the machine, you have a in and out button that you can stop at any time and bring the image out to look at it. And then you hit the in button and it will take it right back into the spot that it was going. So let me show you that button. All right, so the button that I pressed is this one right here. This one right here will bring it in and take it out. So watch this whenever I press it. I'm gonna bring you guys, I want you to see both. There we are. All right, so I want you guys to see both, right? So if I'm moving this around without editing it, I just want you to see the live stuff, right? So here it is right here. And as you can see, whenever I press this button right here, watch what's gonna happen. Let me get out of the way. So it went exactly back where I need it. But remember, whenever you do that, make sure you trim. If you're going to bring it out the way I did, I hit the trim button first and then I brought it out. Because if you don't, the thread is going to stay stuck to it and it's going to come way out here. Right? And then whenever you go to put it back in, it's going to be loose. Right? So make sure you trim it. So then we're good to go. And then we can just finish this off by hitting start. Right? So we're going to run through a couple of these hats. We got a whole bunch of white ones to do and a whole bunch of black ones. That's the basics of doing puff material, right? So check this out. See what you guys think. I have some ordered right now. How many did you need? Alright, so that was the last of the white ones. Now what we're going to do, exact same thing, doing the exact same design, but we're going to be doing it on black thread now. I was going to say black hats. We're doing it on same cap, but on black puff and black thread. So like I was telling you guys, whatever colored thread you're using, make sure that you are using the same color foam, right? Because you don't want to have a red foam under black and then the red sticking out. Alright, so we've already centered our image. We're going to go ahead, put that on there, hold it into place, lock it in. Alright, so the next thing we have to do, we cannot forget, change the color of the thread. Alright, so let me show you how that's done. Alright, so very simple. If you look right here, that tells us. Alright, so very simple. If you look right here, we're on color 15, which is my white. We're going to come here, hit number 3, and now you see that changes to 3. That changed to 3, only one color. Hit OK, and now we're ready to go. And that easy to switch the color. Alright, so we got our trace, we got our rubber band in place. All we got to do, hit start. So let's see how this one looks. There it is. Remove our rubber band and check that out. Super clean. Hardly need to clean anything up on this thing. It looks really good. Alright, so there it is. There is the two caps. There's the white puff, and then hopefully you can see the black on the black puff right there. Alright, and then some key factors to remember whenever you're doing embroidery on caps, right? The biggest you can go is about 2.5 inches. That is it, right? Anything bigger, you're going to take the chance of coming up here, and then you're just going to break needles over and over, right? So remember that, 2.5 inches. And then the next thing, if you are doing puff, let your digitizer know that you are doing puff, because if you don't, and they do this a flat stitch or whatever it's called, you're not going to be able to do foam. Right, so you have to let them know that you're doing 3D puff so that they could do, I believe it's called a cross stitch. Don't quote me on that. But what it does is it goes back and forth and it traps the foam underneath it. All right, so make sure you let them know it's for 3D puff. And then the next thing, if you are doing this, like I showed you guys, have a heat gun, because some of the foam will stick out a little bit. If you have some big chunks that are sticking out on the edges, simply take something, push it underneath, and then move the threads over. All right, and then the last thing you guys saw, I put the puff on here, and then I put a rubber band around it to hold it in place. So Arnold, I appreciate that info right there. All right, and then again, like I always tell you guys, this is my way of doing it. If it's not for you, by all means, it's not for you. I'm trying to show people that are struggling or people that are just getting into embroidery how I do it. So if you got something from this, appreciate you guys. Hit the thumbs up. All right, so thank you guys for watching another one of my videos. Thank you guys for all the support. And until next time, keep pressing.